Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Firstly, an apologies to make, bit of a continuity error. You'll notice by the previous shots, came here last week and took some pictures of the car in the snow, but I run out of time to do any more filming because something came up. I've come back this week, and if you can see out the window, there's no snow, so sorry about that. But here we are in my new car, which is a 2018 Volkswagen Tiguan 2-litre diesel DSG with the 4Motion R-Line spec. So why did I get the Tiguan over anything else? Well, I'm a bit of a Volkswagen fan anyway. I've had 4 Volkswagens in the past. I had the Golf previous to this. And I just like the way Volkswagen do things, to be honest with you. I use the car on the motorway a lot, so the radar guided cruise control appealed to me. And also the lane assist, which this car comes with as standard across the range, I think. Also, oh man, look at the thing. It looks awesome, especially in the R-Line trim and especially in white. Now, white is a stock bog standard colour for the R-Line trim. It's a free colour, but I think it looks probably best in white. It shows out the black accents of the R-Line trim a little bit better, which is a bit of a bonus for me because I always wanted white anyway. So let's go and have a quick look round outside. So we'll start off at the front. And as you can see, it's got the new LED daytime running lights. It's also got the LED dipped and main beam indicators, front fog lights and parking sensors. Behind the Volkswagen badge is where you will find the sensors for the radar guided cruise control in the auto city stop. I will say though that that system doesn't work if the badge gets filthy. So in the snow, heavy rain, it'll stop working. I didn't have that problem on my Golf. It's a bit of a shame really that it stops working on this. The Golf was really reliable, but it just needs a wipe off and it'll start working again. As we look at the wheels, 20 inch, don't be put off by the 20 inch wheels. I was a little bit apprehensive about the ride comfort, but trust me, it's fine. They've got the balance just right. It doesn't bang and crash about. They've got 255/40 R20 Continental tyres, and so far I can't really say that it's been an issue having the big alloys on the car. Now you'll notice little nods to Star Wars. The kids have called the car Stormzy because they think that it looks like a stormtrooper's helmet, which, yeah, they're probably right. They've got a good observation there. So you can notice a little stormtrooper helmet I've had fitted on the pack. Let's just have a quick look in the boot. I didn't go for the automated tailgate because I couldn't justify the extra expense, and my arms work, so I've got no need for that. Boot's big enough. I know it's a bit boring looking at boots, but here we go. So you've got your levers there to lower the back seats. Bit of a baggage hook, 12-volt socket. There's another baggage hook here. Oh, hang on, I've got a convenient prop. There we go. Another baggage hook on this side. Quite a lot of storage space either side. I've fitted a rubber mat, which I'll put a link in the description below. And let's just get this out of here so I can show you under the boot floor. Here we go then, inside the boot. Now the boot floor does drop down, but just by that much. And to be honest with you, I'd rather have it in the raised position because it gives you a bit of extra storage just under the boot floor here by the space saver spare tyre. I've got a couple of coats in there, and obviously your jack, etc, etc. Now I don't know whether it's very noticeable on the camera, but on the bumper lip you can see I've fitted some 4D vinyl carbon fibre wrap stuff, which I got off a well-known auction site for a couple of quid. I'll put a link in the description below. There was more than enough left over to do these door edges, which I can highly advise because the kids have already kicked it and scuffed it. And there was enough left over to do the front doors as well. While we're here inside the petrol cap, not the most exciting thing again, these are all the money shots, but that's where you fill the AdBlue up. Right, you can fold the backrests down from some levers in the boot, or there's a couple of fabric toggles here on these seats. If you pull on these, you can fold it down this way too, and it clicks into place. The backrests will split 40-20-40 if needs be, which gives you quite a big opening for a load through carrier. Now when you put the seats back up, you have to pull the toggle again, come around to here, they go up to here, but obviously these seats recline in various positions, and also they'll slide forwards and backwards to give you more boot space. Now I've just jumped in the back here just to illustrate how much room we've got. I'm 6 foot, I've got plenty of headroom and leg room in here. There's lots of storage spaces, big door pockets for the kids in the back. We also get these fantastic picnic tables which are fairly sturdy. My kids have been putting their iPads on here to watch, and little cub holders in the side, which is great. A couple of other little features in the back here. They obviously get their own air vents, but also they get their own heater controls which they control independently of what's going on in the front. You can alter that from the front as well, I'll show you that in a sec. They also get a USB input and a 12-volt socket as well. You'll have to ignore the rubber floor mats, it's winter, I just thought they're more practical than the carpet mats that they do come with standard black carpet mats. But the best thing about being in the back here has got to be this panoramic sunroof, which obviously opens. To me, this is probably the best seat in the house. It's very, very comfortable in the back here. And there's a view of the cockpit from the back. There's plenty of room in the back here for 3 adults, side by side. The middle seat here got a couple of cup holders, and also there's a switch on the back here, which means you can fold this whole section down, which means you can climb in there if you're small enough. So the driver's seat, just have a look around. Power folding mirrors are standard, pop out when you unlock it. And you are welcomed by this amazing TFT screen on the R-Line and the SEL, and I think it's optional across the rest of the range, which is fab. As you can see, I've done 1,400 miles, and that's my journey time today. So I've done 23 miles today and 1 hour 10 minutes. As we switch the car on, again you can see Stormzy, as in Stormtrooper helmet. Bit silly, I know, but the kids like it. So this is your main central display. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because I'll go into a separate video with regards how all this works, because it is quite complex. That's going to be a long video, but just give you a bit of a. I'm sorry about how bright it is. There you go. Might make it a bit better. Down here we've got your heater controls, heated seats, standard with the R-Line. If we press the menu button here, it will pop up on the screen here. Like I was telling you earlier, this is where you adjust the heater controls for the kids in the back. Turn it up really high and you'll make them sick. You can sync, so all the temperatures are the same across the 3 ranges, and some other options on here for you to play with. So we'll just have a quick look at what else we've got down here. This is quite a sizable storage bin. Also got a couple of cup holders under this flap here, which you can fold out of the way if you wish. Behind here we've got 12-volt socket, 2 USB ports and an auxiliary port. That's exciting. Electronic handbrake, which I've explained about in a previous video on my Golf how to use. Pretty much the same idea on this. You don't need to worry about the handbrake. It sets itself, it'll turn itself off. Just leave it on auto hold, it's fine. We can obviously switch off the parking sensors from beeping here, and that is your engine automatic start-stop. The start-stop system is very, very good. I understand some people don't like it, but it's not really intrusive. It saves fuel, so I just leave it on all the while. What I have found is that this car, if you are in a queue of traffic and the car ahead moves off, this car will see that that car's moved and it will just start on its own anyway. Or if you're at the front of the queue and you want to get going, just a little bit of pressure on the gas and it'll just start, and off it goes. There is a display in the central screen which will show you what the start-stop system is doing, and sometimes you will notice that if the engine doesn't stop, it will tell you why it hasn't stopped. Now, some of the times it will be the passenger compartment's not up to temperature or the battery level is low. What I have found is if you just turn the temperature down, the engine will cut out. Okay, just quickly, while you've got the radio on the standby screen, you can flick through various clocks, which is a nice little feature. Okay, so terrain response. Obviously, we've got the knurled wheel down here. So we've got winter driving mode, normal road mode. Let's have a look on here, what comes up on here. So snow, eco, off-road, and off-road individual. So if you press the change here, you can alter any of these options by selecting there and set it up how you want it set up, or just leave it as it is and let the car do it. Now if we select the mode button in the center, hang on, go back to road, you get these next 4 options. So you can have it driving in normal mode, so your dynamic light assist will work and the car will just work it out for itself. Sport, where everything is turned up to maximum, it will hold on the gears a little bit longer, but obviously it's not as fuel efficient. And then individual, so pretty much the same, you can set it up exactly how you like, and you can change these options for your own preference. Me personally, I just tend to drive it in eco because I find it more fuel efficient and I like the coasting function. However, if you do drive it in eco mode, you lose out on some of the functionality of the dynamic headlights, which come as standard when you have the LEDs on the SEL or the R-Line. So I'll just talk about that for a second. The dynamic headlights, well, they're automatic anyway, nothing new there. They will automatically dip if a car's coming towards you. They will automatically switch back onto full beam if you've got the right conditions, i.e. it's dark enough and you're travelling over 37 mile an hour. But added to that, also they will, if there's a car immediately in front of you and the road's dark enough, they will automatically go onto full beam, but they will turn out the individual lights so you're not blinding the car in front, and basically your full beam is shining around that car in front. And if that car was to move into the beam pattern, it will switch off that headlight, and then once it's back directly in front of you, they switch back on. Really, really good option. I haven't managed to catch it out yet. They're fantastic headlights. Also, if you're traveling over 6 mile an hour, they are sort of active headlights, so as you turn left or right, the headlights will also swivel left and right, so it allow you to see around the corner easier, and they've got a cornering light function on them as well. Okay, talking about the attention to detail in this car, the rear view mirror, I know it's not the most exciting of matters and it won't sway your decision as to whether you'll buy this car or not, but the fact that it's frameless just looks pretty. What a really neat application of the rear view mirror. It looks nice. You'll notice that I've got my dash cam fitted behind. Now, I don't really like to see my dash cam, but that's the best place that I could find to fit it. There's a sensor on the back of the mirror which allows the mirror to auto dim if there's a car behind you with bright headlights. Where I've put my dash cam doesn't really affect it, still works. Just incidentally, while we're up here, I'll just let you have a look at the switch gear up here. So we've got this switch here is for the blind for the sunroof. That's obviously for the sunroof itself, and then you've got the LEDs, roof mounted LEDs. If you're fitting a dash cam, the best placement for the cables is up along the windscreen here, down this A pillar, and then between the edge of the dashboard and where the door comes to a close, there is a panel which will allow you into the fuse box, which is at the back of the glove box, which is easy enough to get access to. There's 2 little tabs here. Push those and the glove box will drop down. I haven't done that. I've put it around the other way because I'm an idiot. Well, that's just me. In here, you've obviously got a single CD slot. It's not a multi-changer. And you've got your 2 SD card readers. Now, one is for the sat-nav and the other one is for your own music, or for the, you can upload the radio station logos, which I'll talk about in another video. So what do I think of the car? I love it. I love the seats, I love the space, I love the way it drives, I love this panoramic sunroof. It's awesome. It'll obviously open to tilt and then it goes 50% of the way back probably. I've got to be honest with you, when you sat in this driving seat, you don't really get a sense of how big that sunroof is. You can't really notice it. And I know that seems a bit daft because it's a massive glass panel, but you kind of forget that it's there. From the back, it'll be a little bit different because it's always in your eye line, but I wouldn't be without it today. It does go a little bit further back, but what I found is while you're driving along, it makes that horrible buffeting, booming sound. But no, it's great. I can't recommend it enough. I'll just give you a sense of how big this sunroof is. So I'll close the blind. Just talk amongst yourselves for a bit. Still going. There we go. It does darken the cabin. It does make it feel a little bit more cosy. But to be honest with you, for me, it's always going to be open. So there we have it. Quick video on my Tiguan. If you've got any questions you need to ask or you want me to answer, leave them in the comments below. I'll leave some links in the descriptions below. You can subscribe up here. There'll be a link to another one of my videos on the Tiguan down here. As always, thanks for liking and subscribing. Hit the thumbs up button, it's always appreciated. And thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.